deliverables. That's a term I feel like in many industries, but in the influencer marketing industry, it is specific to the actual post you're going to post on your platforms and or the content you're going to produce to the brand. So it could be in-feed post for Instagram. In-feed is also another term, which just means like the static in-feed post on your grid. And then it can also include like a TikTok post, Instagram, etc. Like all those things are like deliverables. What is the package you're providing to the brand? Then you have dedicated versus integrated. So a dedicated video, this could be used on TikTok as well as YouTube, means this is the only brand that is going to be featured. Dedicated. It's a higher level of a price.
The Love and Order Podcast with your host, LawyerLimor.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed on this podcast are not legal advice that can be relied on. They are based solely on the limited information provided. These opinions do not create any attorney-client relationship. Those seeking legal advice should contact an attorney in the appropriate jurisdiction and practice area.
Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Love and Order. And listen, I'm not going to pretend that I didn't give myself a 2-week hiatus from the podcast and forgot to tell you. I don't know what to say. It was an impromptu break from the podcast. I really needed it. I did a mental love talk on TikTok live last week. I think we're going to do lives every Monday on TikTok. Let me know what you think about that. But I have been away from the pod for 2 weeks and I apologize for that. Sometimes you just need a break, but anytime you need more LawyerLimor, you can find me on Instagram, my newsletter, obviously TikTok, obviously YouTube. My DMs are always open. I really missed you guys. And I am so happy to be back with today's guest, Kameron Monet, the first lawyer influencer I ever saw, the smartest lawyer influencer I know, and one of the most genuine people on the internet. By the way, Kameron Monet, obviously she's on all social media platforms. Kameron Monet has a masterclass coming up July 28th. I will be there as a student. I want to learn from Kameron. She does contracts. She just, listen, she gives so much free intel online. Her TikTok, amazing. Her Instagram, amazing. Her YouTube, so much fun. I love Kameron. I started out as a fangirl. I'm still a fangirl, and I'm so happy that we're actually friends. I hope you enjoy this episode. I love you, and thanks for being here. Kameron, I love you. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
that this is not legal advice.
I had to have the banner. What did you think of my release? You signed it.
I only signed it because you're my friend. I'm kidding. It was intense. It's a little bit.
Okay. That is hilarious.
That
is hilarious. I'll be honest with you. I took a 2-week break from the podcast because I didn't realize being a lawyer influencer is the most stressful thing on earth. So let's start first with the trajectory of your career, because to me, you are the original lawyer influencer. I've been watching you for how many years? I mean, at least, how many years have you been doing it? I want to say 5 years.
I've been on YouTube before I went to law school, so 2014, but I went to law school in 2016. So
and you were
about 6 years.
Yeah, you were making videos while you were in law school.
I was. Mm-hmm.
Yes, those are the videos I started from. So tell us about the trajectory of your career from when you became an attorney until now.
Okay, so where do I begin? So I really didn't know I wanted to go to law school. I kind of just stumbled upon it. I had my advisor. I was like, listen, I know I got to choose a major at this point. I have no idea what I want to do. He happens to be a lawyer, and he was like, I think you would like it. Try some pre-law classes. And I was like, okay, let me see what it's giving. And I liked it. I joined the mock trial team, and I was hooked. So I was like, if I happen to get into any type of school, I'm going to go. I got into several different schools, so I went ahead and got in school, and I was still doing YouTube and still creating content online. And back then, like, there were no contracts. So that at that time, I was just like, oh, I mean, that's just what it is. But then when I got to law school, it was like, we need contracts. Like, where have the contracts began? So I started to have like my friends and colleagues be like, hey, can you look at my contract? Or hey, do you know what this term means? And I just happen to kind of know it because, law school, a little something, barely.
Yes.
And then I was like, wait, is there something here? Fast forward, graduated law school. I was practicing employment litigation. And I was like, you know what? This ain't it. This can't be it for the rest of my life. And then someone was like, hey, how much do you charge for your contract services? And that was it. And as soon as I was like, wait, somebody will literally pay me for this?
I love it.
Stop. Yeah.
I love it. And how long did it take you to leave the firm you were working at?
I worked there technically 2.5 years because I worked there during law school as well and over the summers. But I worked there as a practicing attorney for 1 year. I was like, I'm staying for a year at least. I thought I was going to stay longer, y'all, but listen.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, that first year, though, that's when they work you to the ground.
I mean, 50-hour weeks, 60-hour weeks. And then that's just like you trying to learn as well. And them trying to see, test how far you can go when it comes to the amount of work, the amount of clients, the amount of research. It was a lot.
It was a lot. And while you were there, you were still doing YouTube and what? Just Instagram then?
YouTube and Instagram. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then TikTok came,
And then TikTok came and it really is. Listen, I know all your handles are at Kameron Monet, and we also have the Legal Tea Social, but it really should be Kameron for the people, Kameron against the brands. It really should be.
I'm so weak.
The intel that you give on social media. I mean, one of the first things I learned from you, and something that I just, I didn't think of in the very beginning, because when I was watching you, I wasn't really on social the way I am now, was just Control F perpetuity.
I mean, let me tell you, that alone will save so much. One, it can make you more money. I'm like, you have to take that out and set a duration. So then they have to come back to pay you for that content over and over and over again.
Right. Yes. And what would you say the sneakiest things you see in contracts over and over again are?
Ooh, recently, actually, here's insider tea. So I always tell y'all Control F perpetuity, a perpetual use. There was a brand that shall not be named. They use the term indefinitely.
Oh, Kameron.
So if you're looking for the term perpetual use or perpetuity, now you have to look for indefinitely. I said, now I know y'all not playing.
Wow. They really, listen, what I've been learning now is they don't care. They will send you that default template that makes no sense. It makes zero sense. It is literally for the vendor who makes the step and repeat. Okay.
Yep. Literally.
It literally is. It makes no sense for an influencer, right? And they'll start there. And you're sitting there wasting your time. I've worked on a contract for brands for over a month. And then I think to myself, wow, I just lost a month's worth of money. Are you kidding me? And time. Don't get on me on the time.
A lot.
And they're always getting discounts from us, right? Like, I know there are so many different formulas, right? Like, what's the formula? It's like 5% or 10% of your following. But on this platform, on that platform, it doesn't really mean you have, great engagement unless your likes are at this number. And right, there are so many equations,
right?
But is there one standard magic way to figure out how much you should get compensated by a brand?
I think minimum 10 to 20% of your following. That is a great start across all platforms. Please do not do 1%. I don't know. I saw somebody saying that online. I was like, you know what? I'm just not the type to try to at somebody, and they happen to be a lawyer. So, I mean, it's just 1% of your following. It's like, absolutely not. Y'all have to think, like, all the work we put in as creators, if they didn't have us, they would have to book the studio space, book the videographer, photographer, the model, the makeup artist, the hairstylist, the stylist, get the location. They might have to rebook the location, get everybody there. It's like, but they get all of that in one with us creators.
Yep. And they're budgeting for that.
The higher that fee. Exactly. That's the gag.
They're budgeting for that. Yeah, they're definitely budgeting for that. So it's kind of like, I think the general rule for a lot of people is start really high and maybe you'll land somewhere in the middle because they're going to lowball you or whatever it is. But there's more to it, right? Because we're now dealing with, there are lives where you could have thousands of followers watching you. There are reels on IG. There are static posts. There are stories. There's stories on TikTok. You can pin posts. I forgot about that. Oh my God. There's money in that too.
Yes. It's an additional fee. All of those things are additional fee because you are amping the content that the brand wants you to produce. So putting the link in your bio, that's an additional fee. That's something to consider when you're coming up with your rates. All of those things.
Ooh. Ooh. And you can bring those up to them too, right? Like,
absolutely. Because they're going to bring it up like, hey, we want the link in the bio for 24 hours. We want this, we want this, we want this. Excellent. I love that you want this, 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 and this, which is why my rate is this, because you're asking for these 20 items.
do you ever see, so you provide services, obviously you work, you negotiate your own contracts too, right? You don't outsource.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
And then and then you also do it for other influencers as well, right? Or at least you consult,
yep.
right?
Influencers. Okay. I do a combination of, it depends. I try to like give my creators everything they need to be able to do it on their own, because usually they're either at a place where it's their first brand partnership or they're new to brand partnerships. Some of them have agencies and managers, but that's neither here nor there. And they just feel more comfortable talking to me about it. But there are some where it's like I've had to step in. I can count on one hand how many times I've had to like step in, and then either the brand brought in their lawyer, so they're like, hey, wait, whoa. And I'm like, okay, let's just get on a call. Hey, this is what we want to change. It's not that deep, and it usually can be handled. But I think most of the time creators can kind of handle it, because the person on the other end of the email usually isn't a lawyer. They're not a consultant. They're just somebody else that's in the creative space, just like the creator and like us.
Right.
So I don't want to add a level of intimidation. So I kind of like to let my clients do their thing.
Do you ever feel, Kameron, when you're speaking to these people and they know you're an attorney, do you ever try to, I want to say, kind of dial down, right? Like I do that. I definitely started doing that when the social media teams of companies reach out. Like I don't want to seem or be perceived too tough or aggressive. Like I'll add the exclamation mark. I really do add it because I feel, is it going to be softer? I want to work with them.
Yeah, I'm naturally more like, hey, girl. So I definitely bring that out. And I also think it's important because people have this perception of what attorneys are. And I'm like, we don't have to act a certain way. But if I need to pull the lawyer card, I will. I will do it. I'm sorry. I will do it for me and my clients.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's necessary. It's really necessary because they do try to add things here and there that don't make sense. And I don't think they're really familiar with their contracts themselves, because they'll repeat things, right? They'll repeat things like, it's so weird. And you're like, the term on this number and that number need to be the same. It's the
very
same
much giving
thing.
repetitive.
You literally, it literally doesn't make any sense.
I've had some of them say, oh, we can't change the contract. Child, if you don't just backspace and retype, yes, you can. Like, they make it seem like you cannot modify and change. I'm like, I promise you can. Trust me on this one.
Oh my God. Have you ever not negotiated a contract? Did you ever get
I'm trying to think.
Like even in the beginning,
usually there's something in there that needs to be changed. I would say in the beginning, like in the very, very beginning, 2016 me. I probably didn't, but there always was something that had to be tweaked, whether it was like a date, a deadline, a deliverable that was confusing the way they described it, something like that. Like me, usually when they give the contract, it's clear for them. So anybody that gives that receives a contract, whether it's the brand receiving for a creator or the influencer receiving it, it's probably going to be something that needs to be tweaked so that it's clear for both parties.
Okay. And then because I've told you about this, have you ever lost a contract that you were so excited over because you were just negotiating what they may have, perceived to be too much?
Yes. And I mean, there was one I could think right now. It was a big company, and I was just like, I couldn't budge. They were not budging on the price. I could not do that. And you have to kind of weigh your options. I'm sorry, I'm downtown, child. They got the noises. But you have to kind of weigh your options on, okay, the amount of effort that I'm going to put in this, if I'm not receiving monetary money for that effort, what are the other benefits? Is this a brand I want to build a long-term relationship with? Is it an agency that maybe is connected to some other brands that I want to work with? Is it really like a substantial amount of effort? Like it's a whole dedicated YouTube video. I got to blur out other brands. Like how long is it really going to take me? So sometimes you have to kind of weigh those options when it is a brand that's like, hey, we're stuck on this budget. Like we cannot move. So sometimes, I've had to walk away a few times, like several times, where it was just like, I just can't do that right now.
And have you found that a brand maybe you were in love with before and you were so excited they reached out to you? Have you found that some of them just pay like shit?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Easy one. Yes. And then I'm shocked. I'm just like, okay, but I had this little mom and pop brand over here throw a bag at me, and then now you talk about some pennies. It's like, nah, I know you lying.
What?
Miss, everybody know your brand name. So it's like,
Mm.
you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Well, I told you about, I think you helped me deal with this one. It was one brand who reached out to me that everyone does something with. They do some posts with them. Everyone does. And they just, it was going to be like a second month of working with them. And I tried to negotiate the deal because it didn't make sense, the amount of views, the amount of attention they got. And they just ignored me. And so
that's the worst.
That's the worst. That's the worst. And so I emailed everyone individually, like, hey, I'm not sure what's going on with so-and-so, but I emailed her. Can you just... And she finally got back to me. And she's like, hey, Limor, thank you so much for your attention on this. I didn't know how to get back to you because we can't afford that rate for those deliverables. But I really do want to, what did you say? I really do want to keep the relationship alive. Something like that. And I'm like, so you ignored me?
Like, okay, but what happened 2 weeks ago when I was hitting your line?
There we go. We go.
And that's one of those tricky times. You have to kind of stand your ground and be like, okay, nah, you saw my emails, but it is like, okay, the industry is small. Like everybody talks. So you do kind of want to keep the relationship somewhat. But I can maybe think of like maybe one or two brands where it was like, it's cut off. Like I would never work with you ever again.
Oh.
Yeah. It's rare, but it happens.
It's rare, but it happens. So what about trademarks?
Ooh.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Like, so we saw, I forget what her name was, Haley, you know, the wedding dress designer.
Haley Page. Mm-hmm.
Haley Page. She didn't trade, or I think she gave the trademark to the
JLM.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Why don't you tell us the story? Because you're more privy to the details.
Let me hype, girl. JLM. No, it's just a mess. And I haven't seen an update, but maybe y'all, you know how law will get an update for decades later. But once it circles the block. But long story short, she was under a contract with JLM Couture, who does Say Yes to the Dress. We know them, very familiar. Okay, but their company is like JLM Couture. So she was under contract with them for years. She wanted to get out of the contract, not realizing the contract said that she signed over her trademark rights to her name. And at first it's like, what does that matter? Like, how can she not say her name? It's her government name, but that's her brand. So your name, a lot of creators are finding this. Your name is now your brand. Kameron Monet is my government first and middle name, but now it's a brand, which is why I'm getting a trademark. So you can't use it. It's already in the process. I will fight you in the trademark street. But for Haley, she signed over the rights to her name, and her Instagram name was her name before she even signed that contract. But once she terminated the contract, they now took over her Instagram. And she was like, no way, how can you do that? Like, it's my Instagram. So the issue to me is, okay, if we're looking at followers as an asset, like a business asset, where's the division? How do we determine the amount of followers that were hers prior to that contract? And then now, where was that obligation forward once she signed over her trademark to her name? And the courts were just like, we don't know, child. Just JLM gets it because they got the trademark. So then now she no longer had access. She built a following over 1 million followers and just immediately could not have access to that account.
She couldn't just change the name on the account?
That's what I thought. But, I feel like that's where the issue is between the legal field and people within it that don't understand what does the divisions within social media really mean. Like, what is the name of an Instagram account? What are the followers? How do you get them? Who's engaging? Because the whole page was all Haley Page's content. Like, and then she started working with brands over there. So they fumbled her bag several different ways. Because it was like her audience, so now she can't pitch her own products to the audience, but also now she can't work with brand partnerships at that level with 1 million followers. So it's a lot.
And then I'm sure that page was verified too, right? I'm sure it was.
Exactly. So then it's like, now that's verified, and I think it should have been handled better. But I mean, it could be. I think they're still in the process of figuring out how to explain it in a legal industry where there's no laws, there's no direct laws and regulations and guidelines to social media and honestly the digital space.
Right. And it's crazy because now you can just go online and shit all over a brand because they treated you horribly.
Exactly. And I've had a few clients they were like, can I just say something about that? I'm like, oh, wait. Because the pro with that is, okay, that might work. But the con is if you're trying to seek any legal actions, it's like you just muddied the waters. It's going to be a little bit tough.
That's a great point. And also the next brand. Why would they want to work with you if you're doing that, right?
Because they're like, we might just make one little mistake and she's going to slaughter our name for Phil. It's like, oh.
Yeah. What's your opinion on influencers creating posts for brands that are not paying them, right? They're just doing it because they want the attention of the brand. Okay. And they continue to do it. Then they get upset that the brand reposts, even though they asked for permission, but they've done it several times and they're using this and that. They don't ever make them a formal offer. And then the influencer blasts them. What do you think about that? Because I've seen that a lot on TikTok.
Ooh, I'm going to say this. At that point, it's on the influencer to set some boundaries. If a brand asks to repost my content and it's a brand I desire to work with, for me, now it's becoming a warm pitch. We're building this natural, organic relationship. So as soon as you ask me about the second or third time, I'm telling you, hey, I charge a user-generated content fee. Because that's now what it's becoming. It's now becoming content that I've organically produced and you want to utilize in your other digital marketing platforms, whether it's email marketing, your social media platforms, etc. That doesn't have to be an initial brand partnership for you to charge them, if that makes sense. If I just take a picture with this shirt and I'm like, oh, it's from H&M, and they're like, hey, can we use that? Yeah, I charge a fee for you to utilize my content. Or just ask them, hey, consider me for paid opportunities, or just start saying no, because if that brand really loves your content, like they've been liking it, they're going to reach out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because, even with the Haley page, it's like, how do you determine what's fair and unfair? Because in the beginning it was working.
Right.
In the beginning it was working. Now you got bigger than you ever imagined. And you have buyer's remorse. You signed this horrible contract, but would you have become what you became had you not signed the initial shitty contract?
Correct. But then also it's like, if you would have negotiated that out, they probably would have agreed.
If you would have negotiated out,
maybe.
I mean, listen, the trademark thing.
Yeah, I can't even believe. First off, I feel like that should have been a void contract to me. There's no way.
How is
anybody would agree?
Yeah.
That's a whole. They did make that argument. So.
They did, and it didn't fly. I remember there was an injunction, and then she made a video, and she was very emotional, and it makes sense because it's not even just I came up with the name Love and Order. It's literally my name. Yes,
it's your brand, it's your identity, it's how your audience associates with you. Like it's a lot to have to change those kind of things. But I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of people, for sure, especially with being a name, because I feel like back in the day it was like, you can't trademark your name. It's a new era. At first it was like only celebrities, but it's like that's a whole nother topic. But now influencers and content creators, they're leveling up. Now I wouldn't say to the point of a celebrity, but it's definitely a different level of a public figure.
Oh, absolutely. And you can make celebrity money.
In that,
absolutely,
because celebrities work with brands too.
There we go.
Hashtag ad too.
I'm sorry, Justin Timberlake just got on TikTok. I'm sure he has a concert or something coming up, or a tour, or an album, or whatever. But they know they need to be on these platforms because their fans are making more money off of them than they're making.
It's like, let them do a dance to a song. It's over in the TikTok streets.
I'm dead. So do you recommend that? When do you recommend you trademark your username? When does it become a brand?
Question. Yeah, I will give this caveat. I'm not a trademark attorney. Okay, I can do a trademark. I don't want to do it, y'all. Pick your struggles. I would say when you start, there's no perfect time, but I would say, if it's catchy and it's long lasting, just go ahead and do it. If you financially are able. If you want to have a measurement, when you make money that could pay for that trademark, use that money to pay for the trademark. So when you're starting to make money, save that up, get the trademark. That should be your first initial goal with your side hustle or with your platforms.
Oh, that's a really good marker. When you make enough money to just pay for it, just do it. It's a really good way to protect yourself. And I see trademark wars all the time on TikTok, everywhere. everywhere.
Crazy.
Which
I mean, celebrities too. That's why I tell people, I'm like, trademark does not care how many followers you have. It's about, depending on what you're doing, first to file. It's about who's getting there first and who has enough assets and explanations and examples to say that it was theirs.
There we go. And it's so funny because with the Kardashians, they make news a lot of the time because they trademark before we've ever heard about anything. Like Kylie Baby was trademarked, news broke, and people are like, Kylie Baby, she's making products. A year later, she dropped something for Kylie
Exactly.
Baby.
But that's a smart way to, if you have the funds, a lot of business owners that have the funds, they just get trademark any idea they have. It can get really expensive, which is why I'm like, if you're new, if you can fund all of your business with your business's money at first, do that. You don't go broke trying to get a trade. That don't make no sense. And then you look up and you ain't made the money, you got to change the name. That's not, no ma'am. But if you're like, oh, I'm making some money, save that, get the trademark.
Let me ask you this. How many platforms? So hang on, let's do it this way. You're on YouTube. You're on TikTok. You're on Instagram. Are you on Pinterest?
I am, but I don't really use it. I just use it for fun. Like, I don't use it for like,
okay.
I'm thinking about it though.
Okay.
That'll be next year's discussion. It's just as far as capacity right now.
Got it. So then Facebook and Snapchat are out. You're not on those.
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
So I am on Facebook, but I don't really use it. I have an audience a little bit, like barely. I think I have like 1,000 people that follow my Kameron Monet page. And then, but what I use it for is like making connections. So I'm in some groups that are specific to like, for example, I just got added to one where it's like construction workers and tile and all that. They're looking for help in the influencer marketing space. And I had a client and they put me in that group because they were like, hey, they asked us questions we don't know and we hired you and we love you. Here's a group. Or there's like a group that specializes in different things. So there's a doctor group. Also, they're all trying to be influencers, try to figure it out. Same thing. So some different areas like that. But Facebook, I feel like I don't think that's where my target audience really is. But sometimes I update them. I do have a LinkedIn. I try to keep that up to date.
LinkedIn. Okay. I've heard that you can
I do have a Twitter too, but I don't tweet.
Oh, I just started a Twitter and I kind of
I'm not gonna tweet. I just got the name again because somebody had my name and was acting like me. So I reported them on Twitter and I had to submit my identification to get my name back. So I just have it just in case.
Oh, I remember you didn't get hacked, but you had a crazy impersonator recently too, right?
Yeah, they were like, it's me. It's so crazy. I'm like, where do they find these people? Leave me alone. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna manifest to be verified next year. So I'm gonna need.
Oh, there we go.
Hello, hey.
There we go. What does it take to get verified? Asking for a friend.
You have to be on a certain level of publications that Instagram deems as verifiable. That's the best way for me to explain it.
Okay,
yes.
But I feel like I have, and I feel like I've submitted, but I don't know if it's been
sometimes you have to do it a few times. I know somebody that had to do it like 2 or 3 times, and they're like, "Oops, sorry, yeah, you're approved." And it was like, "Oh."
What did I tell you? Are you in the creator fund on TikTok?
No. They asked me, and I keep saying no.
Really? So when I first became qualified, I think they wouldn't approve me or something for some reason. And it took like, I could have done it over a year ago, but it just didn't go through. It didn't work. And then maybe like 3 months ago, it finally went through. And it was great. Wow. Yeah, it was great and fine. But it's like, what about that whole year? Even though listen, when I was going viral for the Johnny and Amber thing, it was lucrative.
See, and that's why I'm like, I haven't done it because if I was in a phase where I was going viral on TikTok, maybe I would join. But for me, it doesn't make sense right now.
You also told me some brands make you turn it off.
Correct. Yes. And I only allow it off on YouTube. I'm monetizing it. Like, I'm sorry. Or you're going to pay me a substantial fee that really wouldn't make sense for the partnership. So you got to let me keep it on. But TikTok, yeah, there are some brands that are like, we have to have it off in order for them to have certain access with paid advertisement, whitelisting. I'm not sure what happens on the back end with them, but that's usually why. And it's just for like a time period.
Okay. So I've heard Facebook and Snapchat are the most lucrative, if you can believe it. I just refuse to learn either. And you, that's what I heard. And I heard TikTok is the worst. And I heard YouTube is the easiest. And, you know, you can make money on it, but it's like the most user-friendly. The customer service is great. The this and that are great. So that's why I started putting everything on YouTube now. And I started doing shorts and all that. But it's a whole world, Kameron. It's a whole, whole thing.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
If I could be Kameron Monet, I'd rather be Kameron Monet because how many times have I called you with the mental breakdown? How many?
I shall not say online. I plead the fifth.
You are such a great
I think you just have to find I've been doing this for so long.
I know.
Longer than I want to admit. But you have to find like your boundaries. Like in the beginning, I thought I just had to always be available and accessible to everybody online 24/7. And it's like, I burned out enough times where it was like, listen, the comment can wait, child. The comment can wait. But in a season of growing, you kind of got to put in the grunt work. And especially if you're at a place where it's like, oh, you're going viral. Like last year, the beginning of the year, like I had my first viral reel. I was like on it. So I kept producing reels. I was like, it depends on the phase. Yeah. It kind of depends on like what phase you're in your creative process.
So when because you've had people working for you and externs and interns in and out just over the years, right? So when did you realize, okay, I need help? Because can you also remind us, you do all of the social media, like you post, right? But then in the background, you also have Legal Tea Social, which is also you have social for that, but it's also a whole thing on its own, right? Yeah. So tell us about all of
separate thing. Yeah. So with Kameron Monet is my entity, and everything else is doing business. So the Legal Tea does business as Kameron Monet because I don't own a law firm. Still consulting. That's what I'm doing right now. That may change.
There we go. So does that mean? Hang on. So Kameron, does that mean that you can work with influencers anywhere?
Yeah. So that's why I do that, and why. I'm like, I'm not your lawyer because I'm just not their lawyer. What happens is there are some clients that is like, okay, if it's a serious issue, I can switch it over. Okay, here, sign this engagement letter, pro hoc into your state if needed. So that's like I said, a handful of times where it was like, okay, I do need to step in. And the issue was, long story short, it was a client that was trying to get out of an agency contract, and they brought in their lawyers and we're just like on her, and we're not letting her out of that contract. Simple call with the lawyer. Yeah. We hashed it out. We all were in different states. So it was like, we all just out here. But with transactional law, you have a little bit more flexibility with like the bar, with your bar license, so long as you're not practicing law. The line is so thin. But with transactional law, you have a little bit more flexibility because I'm not necessarily representing you if I'm giving you we're having a contractual conversation. It makes no sense. But anyway, I didn't sell Lee on it, child, or I would throw out the ethics and all that thing, but I do have a CLE. So if you would like the information, just send me an email and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do consulting for influencers. I do consulting for influencer agencies now. I also now have my first brand that I'm doing a consulting. I'm helping build their influencer program. They've never worked with influencers.
Wow.
I also am in the process of setting up a membership space on the Legal Tea website. Stay tuned. I run a course called the Lawyer Influencer Accelerator. We do it twice a year. That's coming up. It's a 7-week course where I help lawyers if they want to become a lawyer influencer, as well as navigating just the understanding of the back end of influencer marketing, and if they want to be influencer and work with influencers. I'm my own editor for my YouTube. All my content I edit. What else do I do? That's about it. I think that's it. Yeah, a lot of work, but I love it. So it helps. It helps because I love it.
I love it. And so when did you realize you need help and you need to hire other people to help you? And how do you let go of that control? Yeah. Because I'll be very honest.
A struggle.
Yeah. And I told you this in the very beginning. Like when I come to Kameron, it's because I'm like, ma'am, I don't know what I'm doing. Why is this like this? Isn't this supposed to be fun? That's what I thought. That's what I thought was going to happen here. Anyway, so take the layer of fun out of it, because anytime something becomes work, it can be fun, but it's also work, right?
Right.
So, there's a part of it where in the beginning, I also didn't take it as seriously because I'm like, oh, it's social media. I can repost. I can repost on all my platforms, whether or not I use an app to do it. I can do that. It takes hang on. It took me a week to learn how to take the watermark off. Okay. So let's just even start over there. Let's start with that, because this is, forget how time consuming it is. Okay.
Exactly. But that's when you start to realize, is this something I could delegate? Do I have to be the person doing this?
Yes, because the energy that these things take, because being a creative is one thing, right? And you and I are the same. We're very high energy. I mean, there have been people on lives who are like, there have been people on lives who are like, how are you always so happy and this and that? I'm like, am I? Like, I didn't even realize. Like,
a lot of it. Coffee.
Okay.
Coffee.
I have juice, tea, coffee, and water here. Right. And Zevia.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll do it. Yeah, that's about right. And I have Poppy. Okay.
There we go.
Hey, Poppy.
There we go. So it kind of feels like, oh, am I going to pay someone to do this stuff for me? Right. It took me a little bit just to realize, dude, this is very serious work. There are very serious things. Like, I'm sorry, you could possibly sign a contract that gives your name to someone else. Right. So,
right.
So
exactly.
How did you release that control? Because once you're the brand yourself, right? Who am I going to trust to write a nice, professional, polite email on my behalf?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not hard. I'm a Virgo. So one thing about it, I do not like telling nobody nothing. Like, I'm just going to do it. Because if it's not right, I'm going to be mad. But what I had to realize is there were a few moments throughout when I've hired several times. My longest hire happened when I was working at a firm. Like we talked about, I was working at a firm, and it was like, people in my life were like, when's the last time you slept? And I couldn't even remember. Like, I was like 2-3 hours maybe. And it's like, you cannot function. Like, I was not happy. I was struggling in my real life. And for me, in real life matters way more than online. So if I'm showing up online like, hey, y'all, but after it's like, I'm so done. I cannot hang with friends. I can't do anything that I know fuels me and I love. It's a problem. So I'm like, okay, how much can I afford to outsource? When I'm Upwork, I love Upwork. It's easy to use. Hired somebody. I hired an influencer manager. So she was all over my like brand partnerships, incoming, ongoing. And it took a minute for us to get our rhythm. And I knew that. I'm like, okay, it's going to take us a while to like build this relationship. Me get to know her flow, her get to know mine, and let's just go from there. Then I also hired a creative assistant where she was local and she would help me with like product shoots and all this stuff. Was great.
Oh, awesome.
Neither one of them are with me right now, but it was a great learning process, and it showed me how to delegate, like how to release control in certain areas, how to communicate better, how to be a better leader, better CEO. Because it's like, if I want to reach a certain level, I can't hit a million doing it by myself. I can't do it. I cannot do it. It's not enough hours and not enough time. It's just not, to me, that doesn't make sense. Then the second time, my most recent hire, well, I guess I had extern, so the hire before that.
Ooh.
But my operations manager has been the best hire I've done to date. She reached out to me because I was like, I need help with systems and automations in my video. And she was like, hey girl, that's exactly what I do. I know your brand identity, We got on a call, hired her in January. If I had to choose the first person to be a full-time employee, it would be her without thinking. Wow. She has been phenomenal. But with that, she was like, write down every single task that you do. And I mean, it was so many. I was like, oh, not 25 plus. And she said, now write down the ones that you actually have to be present for. And it was like 5 or 6. She said, everything else needs to be delegated. And I was like, okay, let's try it. So little by little, I started to kind of give a few things away. And now I'm like, oh, wow, now I have time to like actually think of how to elevate the business, get more money, interact with my family, self-care, have fun with my friends without running on 2 hours or 3 hours of sleep, because it's impossible to live like that.
It's really impossible. So are you on a schedule? Oh, okay.
Yes and no. I would say, you know what, I'm being yes and no. Yes and no. It kind of depends on the season. So I would say, because I'm about to go out of town, so I'm traveling. So when I'm traveling, schedule goes a little bit off. But I do have like a solid morning routine and a solid night routine. Do the times of the day shift? Yes. But I pretty much do the same thing every morning and every night. And for me, working out, like having a workout class, that really just helps me. Like I can set my whole morning up around that time frame. So that's like a little pro tip for mornings.
Yeah, I see you working out on Instagram. I mean, I love going to your stories because you also do, you put your to-do list on Instagram. Like talk about accountability. Yep. Like if that were me, right? I would be like, oh my God, I want to cross everything off so people see I'm productive. Right.
Period. And that's the idea. So then sometimes I do more than I probably would. But then I also like, y'all see that I don't complete everything on my to-do list because
Right.
I'm human. But I also think that's an element that I love about my social media platform. My audience is like, hey, listen, I do the very best that I can. Some days I hit the mark and some days I don't. That's just the reality of what I'm doing. Even with having help. It's like I'm only one person and I try to add too much stuff because I do the most. But
And let me say something about your platform. The reason I fell obsessed with you, you're going to laugh. Everyone's going to laugh at me. But
I'm so done with you.
listen, this is, I don't even, maybe I'll edit this out, okay? Because I don't even know if I told you this.
Before she says that, I want to give context. We FaceTime call, so we're friends in real life.
Oh yeah, we FaceTime
about
call.
Unscheduled FaceTime call.
Like, I mean, our last FaceTime.
When you were at Starbucks, it was like, girl, you were like, child, I got my headphones.
I literally went into a corner in Starbucks. I'm like, hi, Cameron. I think I have to call you back because I look like shit and I can't hear anything. Okay, I'll call you back. But yes,
so
we are friends now in real life. But I was a fangirl before, and
I'm so dead.
So what? Well, I love and admire you, and you're the only person I knew in this space who was doing it right. Because, and we've talked about this, and I'll say it now. The reason I got online and started actually talking about the work I do, divorce, custody, all of that with Kanye and all those things, is because I wasn't going to allow people online who they might be attorneys, they might be in law school. But if you have not practiced in this area, you really shouldn't be saying anything on the internet. You just shouldn't. You just shouldn't. I mean, I made a video that said, okay, you guys, I understand everyone wants to cover Johnny and Amber, but you need to include the words, in my opinion, based on what I read, which is very basic. But they were online saying like, Amber Heard killed her friend in a motor vehicle accident when she was 16 and blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, you guys. You can't talk like that on the internet. So,
yeah, especially if you're a licensed attorney, beware. Because fun fact, or not so fun, most bar licenses get taken away by other lawyers reporting lawyers. So it's not usually like a client lawyer. It's usually lawyers against lawyers. So it's like, be very careful, just in general, even law students, be careful what you say on the internet. That can really bite you in the butt with the bar exam in real life. Because I would never get on to talk about divorce. Child, I couldn't tell you nothing about family law. I didn't want no parts about it. I couldn't tell you. I can talk about employment law because I did that. I can talk about influencer marketing because I'm doing that. So, but I just personally, people even at trademark, I can give you my opinion. I can give you a little glimpse of like just trademark in general, the law, regulate, but I can't say from my client's perspective, this is what happened, or this is what I would suggest as far as like the actual trademark filing process. I can tell you, hey, this is when you should probably get one. But I didn't mention anything about you should submit this document. You should talk to this.
Right.
Child,
right.
That's not what I do.
Exactly. So it's always been about being genuine and authentic and giving the right information. And I just saw people, they were just doing a huge disservice online because then I'm nosy. So I look people up and I look for their bar number and I do this and I do that just because I want to know like, what's their background? And a part of me is like, how do you even have the balls to go online and say that you know something when you don't? Anyway, all that to say, you were the realist online and this was the moment. You were in law school. This is so, I don't even, again, I might edit it out.
You have to say it.
Listen, these were the days where everything was perfect online. Everything is beautiful. You're using china plates for your food. The lighting is perfect. Everything is perfect. And you had a YouTube video where you had your food on a paper plate. The lighting was not great. And you were talking to your mom on FaceTime or something. And I was like, oh, this is a real law student. Because that's what I experienced too. You don't have time for bullshit and making everything so pretty and so this and so that. And all of the comments were the same too. You're so genuine. This is so real. This is so that. I'm like, okay. I think you were one of the first people I subscribed to on YouTube as well.
Oh, thank you.
I never subscribed to anyone. And I'm like, no, if this is the content on YouTube, because I'd never seen that. Everything I saw was organize my law school bag with me. And like, they didn't even have things, which is interesting. I've looked up those videos too. And I think you have one. I actually think you have one.
I had like a what to pack. I did like a 1L boot camp series and I did like a what to pack to law school.
Yes, but it was,
but mind you, that wasn't my first year. Most of those videos started, I want to say my first semester, first year law, you won't see. there's no law school. Like it was like either mid first. No, I want to say it was my second semester of my first year because I was really studying. Like I don't know how the girls. I'll say this. I was feeling guilty nowadays seeing how involved like law students are online and like bringing them around the journey. I'm like, I will say TikTok is a smidget easier when it comes to editing than YouTube. But I'm like, how are they doing that? I was struggling. Like,
so
to
was
stay on
I.
top of all the reading, and I was a trial team. I was like, I don't have time for
Kameron,
everyday updates.
Thought I was dropping out.
We're all glad that you didn't.
Yeah, thank you. But I literally was like, I'm freaking dropping out. But that video, I'm like, the paper plate. She's on YouTube with a paper plate. This is a real human actually documenting real life. And now as you've grown, and now you're a full-time lawyer influencer, like you're done with law school, you were like a full-time attorney, and now you're on your own. It's like, you also show the real life of that. You literally, I've seen you go out into the real world, change your clothes in your car. You have your tripod, you take pictures. You're like, I hate when people look at me. I hate when I do this. The weather fucking sucks. The pictures were ugly. The pictures were great. This was that. And it's real. That's real life. That's that's actually the content people need to see. And now on TikTok, you are giving away information that I don't know if people know this, but listen, I network a lot, so I know a lot of attorneys everywhere. The attorneys who have now found out that I have a following, and sometimes I do sponsorships and whatever, which I really don't, but I do very few. They're always like, let me review your contract. Let me do this. Let me do that. And I'm like, how many thousands of dollars do I have to pay this person? Right? All of the information is in Kameron Monet's TikTok. Okay. I'm sorry. Listen, the value of an attorney, I will say, obviously we're lawyers, right? Obviously get an attorney to even reviewing. I'm saying this coming from someone who is an attorney myself. So when there are things that I don't understand or don't know, or when you post something, I'll bookmark it. I'll learn from it. I've also taken one of your courses, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, when you're not an attorney, speaking of delegating, if you have a contract that's going to pay you, what? $5,000 in 1 month or something, right? Pay the attorney $2,000, $3,000 because you're probably going to get that contract again the next month because of how well it went. And it's money well spent, and you'll learn every single time. Your attorney's going to have you copied on the emails, right? So you'll learn, take out the word indefinitely. The term is going to be 6 months. Take out perpetual. We're not going to have that. We don't need a right to injunction in this. Take it out.
Man.
What is this? What is it?
Like what? Or I saw a contract, it required them to have a certain level of insurance. What?
Pardon?
For a makeup partnership? I'm sorry.
Leave me alone.
Y'all sent the wrong contract. It's embarrassing. Like what?
No, the vendor
get a lawyer.
contract.
And then the plot twist is I charge right now, currently, as this podcast, it might go up. Okay. I charge $500 for a whole contract consultation. I will review the entire contract,
Flat fee?
provide you revisions, updates, and everything, and we get on a 1-hour call. $500. That could have saved Haley Page's life. No,
no, it really could. That would listen. The trademark would have been the first thing you crossed out.
Oh, immediately.
The first thing you crossed out would have been the trademark.
Yeah.
$500 flat fee. Yeah, if you do not call Kameron Monet, I'm going to say it right now. You are stupid.
Stupid. No, she didn't.
Because I'll tell you this. If you are getting the sponsorships, your creator fund is probably at $500 already. Put that right back into your business.
Yeah.
$500 flat fee.
Yep, that's it. And then I'll give a lot of free content. I'm doing a free masterclass. Like I'm my goal is to educate first. Like, and that sometimes that bites me in the butt. But like for me, I know I'm gonna get the money elsewhere. If I can educate and provide resources, because these brands have the money. They have legal departments, they have legal teams, they have money for lawyers. A lot of creators, we're like, we just don't have access or know anyone, or we're too scared to reach out to an attorney, whatever. And so I'm like, here is free. Here's another level up if you want to book it. Here's a higher level. but there's also this free level. And then I still see creators complaining about the mistakes that I'm like, it's free. I just said that. Don't sign that. No,
I can't. And $500 flat fee to review a contract.
Yeah. It used to be $350, but we had to elevate, child. We had to elevate.
No, I mean, $500 is basically free because the contract's going to be at least $500.
At least. Wow. I've never reviewed a contract that was less than, I don't think I've ever reviewed a contract that was less than $500.
No,
ever.
Absolutely. You wouldn't. Who's making, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know the actual rates. Like, I know they're crazy at both ends. Right. But $500 is a steal. That is a steal. I've heard people, they take a percentage of the compensation.
Yeah. And that I thought about doing that, but again, to me, it's education first. It's accessibility, because that's something that I know I desire. That was like my whole platform with why I even was blogging my law school experience. I had no idea how to apply to law school. I said, I'm going to law school. My advisor, I was like, I'm glad you liked it, but did you take the LSAT? And I was like, who is LSAT? How am I do that? What's that? So it's like that's always been engraved in me with providing access. Yeah, I didn't know what LSAT was, and that's a child.
I took a year off because I didn't know I had to take the LSAT.
I ended up having to, because I didn't know I had to study for real. I'm like, I can take this little standardized test. I study a little bit. And you can't. Got my test score. I said, I'm going to need a year off.
Kameron, I'll never forget. I was in class and everyone was asking, what did you get on your LSAT? And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, what did you get? I'm like, what? And then they told me about it. And I'm like, I want to go to law school. I didn't know poop. So I took a year off because I had to study and I worked to pay that off and this and whatever. And then thankfully it all worked out. Am I thankful? I don't know. But it was really, I didn't know what I was doing, but that's crazy. That's crazy. So how would you say, what is the best way to go about getting brand deals?
Ooh, great question. And I know we kind of talked about organically posting. So I have to bring that back up because that is a good way to get in front of the brands. I think the hardest part about brand partnerships is getting in front of their eyes because it's so many creators, so many different platforms at this point. It's hard for brands to even see the talent that a lot of creators have. Like, I love to see, it's like, wow, she's great. Why is she not working with such and such brand? It's just because they haven't seen her content. It's so many people tagging the brands, but that to me is like the first step. Just organically create the content. Because one thing about it, it's like if a brand wants to work with you, but they look on your page and they're like, they can't see their product placement anywhere on your page. It doesn't have to be exactly how they'd want it. They're not going to reach out, even if they do see your content. So start to organically come up with your own campaigns with brands and with products that you have or gifting opportunities that you receive so that they can see the talent that you have. Also, influencer marketing platforms. People say it's old school, but it still works. And I know several creators at various levels that are making lots of money on these influencer marketing platforms. One of my favorites is Aspire IQ. It's now called Aspire. Love it. They basically connect the creator and the brand, and they're the middleman where all the campaigns are like listed, and you can see what the brands are currently looking for. So are they looking for a female creator that can do beauty makeup tutorials? Are you looking for maybe a male that focuses on like gym and working out and things like that? Like, there's so many different campaigns you can opt into on those platforms and negotiate.
Oh, even on those platforms you can negotiate?
Yes, people do. There's an edit option.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
It's like I swear it's like in the corner, top, in the middle, and the back. But if you click edit, you can edit the contract and resubmit it to them with your updates. Say, hey, I made a few updates. Let me know if you have any questions. Because they have perpetuity on there. Or like worldwide. I'm not. No, stop it. Like, get out. I'm gonna find perpetuity. I don't care where she is. I'm going to find her.
You're going to. I'm telling you, it's Kameron against the brands. I'm telling you.
But the plot twist is, hey brands, I love y'all, and now I'm working with y'all because I thought about it when a brand first reached out to me, and I was like, I'm team influencer creator only. But then I was like, if I can cure the root of the problem, look at us elevate into this beautiful partnership from here on out in the influencer marketing industry. Boom.
There we go. What was that platform called again?
Aspire. It used to be Aspire IQ, but it's Aspire.
Aspire. Okay, got it. Yeah, and you make a great point because brands need creators. Creators want to work with brands. I can't understand why brands wouldn't give creators most of what they're asking for in a negotiation, to be honest with you, because what I've seen, obviously, I've only seen people who, you know, it didn't work out and they blast the brand. And when you think about it, it's like, wow, the creator wasn't really even asking for a lot. Now, the ones that come out later and talk shit about a brand that actually turned them into something, I take a different issue with. And I wish that they didn't take advantage of them to begin with. But if you sign off on it, it's a whole different story. But you're so right. If you cure it at the root, and that starts with you as the liaison, the person in the middle, right? Kind of educating. I feel like every time, because is it still a new world? Are the brand partnerships with creators still new?
I always weigh it against the old school ancient legal field. And with us, there has been no update to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, which is the main source that we really use for regulations, disclosures, endorsement. They're like reign supreme when it comes to guidance in this industry. They haven't said nothing. Okay, TikTok ain't added on there. They've said nothing. Are you frozen?
Am I frozen?
You sitting still? Child, I was like, not you sitting there still.
I disappeared for a second if you're watching on YouTube, but I came right back.
But yeah, I mean, it's just not, I feel like until, which will be, I don't know when, the legal field will catch up, but there's so many industries that are just now getting into it. Like I said, I had a client that she mainly does tile content, like how to elevate your space, and her clients with like different tiles, which I was like, oh, that's so interesting. That was the first time the manufacturer and the brand that she worked with ever did influencer marketing. Same with, I'm working with a life insurance company. I'm helping them build out the influencer marketing platform. They're a well-known company, at least in the South, and they've never done influencer marketing. There's been so many brands that are like just now getting into it. And then now that we add the TikTok element, there's so many brands that are still not on TikTok that they might not get on that till the end of the year or next year. So that means they should be looking for creators like, okay, if we don't want to create the content in-house, let's get some UGC or user-generated creators and influencers to help us build our brand on that new platform.
So you use a lot of jargon. Again, it's all over your TikTok, which is like, that's the mecca for me. Like I learned so much. Even before this, I was just scrolling on your TikTok to get some gems. So tell us some of the jargon. So there's whitelisting, there's user generated what? Content? UGC?
Content.
Okay.
UGC.
There are so many words and things that you throw out that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with. So can you give us like, I don't know, just a crash course in some of the terms? I mean, a lot of them are convoluted and they need more explaining, but.
Yeah. So deliverables, that's a term I feel like in many industries, but in the influencer marketing industry, it is specific to the actual post you're going to post on your platforms and or the content you're going to produce to the brand. So it could be in-feed post for Instagram. In-feed is also another term, which just means like the static in-feed post on your grid. All of those are terms, child. Y'all gonna have to stay tuned because we'll be having help on that soon on the website. And then it could also include like a TikTok post, Instagram, etc. Like all those things are like deliverables. What is the package you're providing to the brand? Then you have dedicated versus integrated. So a dedicated video, this could be used on TikTok as well as YouTube, means this is the only brand that is going to be featured. So you may have to blur out different logos and different brands. You might have to wear only like solid shirts with no logos if you're only talking about, let's just say you're talking about Poppy drinks, right? They're like, we don't want you to feature any brand, not just other drinks and beverages. It would be any brand. It's dedicated only to showcase that brand's logo in the video so they can repurpose it and things like that. Dedicated, it's a higher level of a price. Integrated is like if I'm doing a day in the life video and I'm like, oh yeah, I really just love Poppy. It's so great I integrated, but then I can still talk about some other products in that video. There may be limitations on what I can talk about, but usually it's like, hey, just throw it in there whenever you can. That's like a sweet spot with most video content. Exclusivity means you cannot work with other competitors or other brands or products for a subset of time. So you're being exclusive to only that brand and that partnership. Let's see, there's so many terms.
Whitelisting.
That means forever. Whitelisting, so that's paid advertisement. So whitelisting, they try to use several terms to confuse us too. So it could be called boosting the content, paid amplification, paid advertisements, paid ads, organic advertisements. Sometimes organic just means social media posts, but they need to be clear on that. whitelisting can be in many forms, but essentially it's just the little sponsor. If you're on Instagram, the little sponsored label you see, not the paid partnership. That's like the influencer putting that, but the sponsor tab is usually the brand pushing paid money behind that post to a specific target audience that they can narrow down in the Facebook manager that they got access to from the creator. So that's why you charge for that, because it's like you're not only using me because maybe their target audience is a Black female. Hey, I'm Black and I'm a female. So they're like, great, we want Kameron because we know she's going to resonate with our target audience that we're trying to reach, and then we can narrow it down to Black, female, and all these little metrics in the Facebook manager to post it out and put more money behind it.
Ah, that is so interesting. So I learned some of these terms, and I think was it a masterclass that I took with you?
Yeah, I've done a couple. Yep.
You've done a couple. So I was part of a masterclass that I paid for, and now you're going to have a free one.
I know. Sorry.
I love it. I signed up for it.
But it won't be as, and I'll tell y'all, because I'm honest and transparent. Y'all will know that if you follow me. But the level of what I'm going to share varies depending on the time that I'm putting in the money. So, so it's free. So I won't not give as much. It just will look different to make sure that the effort I'm putting in, just like we tell creators, the effort that I'm putting in needs to make sense. So because it's free, I was going to review 3 contracts. I'm just going to do 1.
That is awesome.
I'm still going to go through the whole contract though. Real contract.
So awesome.
I'm redacting it and I'm going to go through the whole contract, and it's going to be a live session. You can ask questions. We can kind of go through stuff like that. But before I was going to go through 3 variations of contracts and go a little bit more in depth, but it's still going to be really good. So.
I love it. And then that's where we can ask questions live, right?
Yep, live.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, and it's no replay since it's free, so there won't be a replay.
There we go. So the one I did, I think we were sent the replay, right? And you did a contract there, and it was really perfect because I think everyone kind of snuck in very specific questions, very like we all had our own consultations with Kameron, with everyone there. It was great.
You're like, hypothetically, if maybe somebody asked her, well, they commented on my page, their page.
That's really exactly what it was.
It.
But it was so, so fun and cute. I loved it. So what are the details for this one?
So I don't know when this is going to go live, Miss Ma'am.
Oh,
but it's going to be the last. I don't know when this is going live, but it's going to be this month. It's the last Thursday of the month, so July 28th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Limited seats. We're booked up, but we're opening seating again. So
I'm already signed up.
Follow me. Period. Follow me so you can know when it's going to open up. Because right now we're already at limit, but I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to open it up to 15 more people. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm excited. That's my favorite part about what I do is like the speaking part. I'd say that's my favorite part.
You're such a good speaker.
Thank you.
You are, again, fangirl, because I've also watched one of your CLEs, and I also watched, I don't know if it was a CLE or not, but the co-working space that you partner with a lot.
Oh yeah.
You did a
like a Reels masterclass or something with them.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Yes. You did the Reels master right after you went super viral with your reel.
Yes. Yep. And I always say, like, with me, I never will personally, no shade, no tea. I will never do a course where it's like, this is how you go viral. Even if I've been viral, mine is more of like, this is how you set up your platforms for the potential to go viral, and the potential, if a brand reaches out, you already have everything you need. That is like the type of content that I like to produce when it comes to like courses and masterclasses and things like that. I'm not the algorithm, and she be lying and change her mind every day. So I can't say, hey, if you do this, I promise you'll go viral. It's like that. I can't make that type of guarantee with 100% certainty. So I'm not going to say that.
That is exactly why I love you, because there's a way to present information that's engaging, but will it go viral? You can't guarantee that, just like we can't guarantee any type of results as an attorney. So any of those coaches online who are like, we're going to teach you how to go viral, and then when you don't, they blame it on you and they upsell you. Trash. Red flag. No.
Yeah, that's definitely a red flag. When I see someone like, if you do this, you will guarantee. It's like, oh, nothing in life is a guarantee. Okay, no ma'am.
We're gonna get you to 100,000 followers in 3 months. No, you're not.
It's like, and let me tell you, do not buy followers. Don't do it. Because now brands have softwares and websites they can run your social media through with your approval. And usually I'm starting to see it in contracts where it's in there and we be agreeing. And it says what percentage of your audience is bot or real or organic or bots. Yeah.
You know what though?
Yeah.
Good
That's
for
inside
them, because
tea.
are you embarrassed with 5 million followers and 300 likes?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I
I think
understand
it's
the
more of
algorithm
like,
issue. I understand the algorithm issue. It gets all of us.
yeah.
But 300,
But 300
likes?
likes?
Nah.
Ooh. But even more with that, it's like, okay, you have 5 million followers, but you can't sell $10, $15 t-shirts. That to me is where there's a disconnect. No, really, like there was this, I don't know who the creator was, but there was this big thing where like this creator had millions of followers. I'm launching this clothing, couldn't sell 10 of them.
How do you know?
So
How do you know? Cameron.
Let me just, it wasn't me. I don't have millions of followers yet. But
it was those Reddit
but
threads
seriously,
telling you.
I was like, ooh.
It was those Reddit threads telling you, which reminds me, I have merch I have not released, but I don't have millions of followers either.
Oh, period. No, but you have an engaged audience that actually interacts.
Right.
That is the key. I'm like, I'll take an engaged audience over millions of followers any single day. I'd rather have a close-knit, y'all listen to me, I say this, we here, we family, we community, than people in the ether that don't purchase, don't say nothing, it's like the numbers aren't worth it. You have to have the numbers and the engagement, which you do.
I love that. Thanks for saying that. Queen Cameron.
It's the truth. Period. And
oh my God. All right. So for free, can I call it advice? It is advice. Free advice and intel on contracts. Follow Kameron everywhere. You're Kameron Monet everywhere. And then the legal tea, is it the legal tea or legal tea social? I keep saying legal tea social.
So the legal tea social, because somebody has the legal tea. That's a conversation for another day, but it's okay because as soon as this trademark, we already on the next cease and desist on site. But the legal tea social, and it's kind of cute, like, you know, the legal tea, we're social.
It's very cute.
So yeah, the legal tea social is just the Instagram for that, and then we have the legaltea.com, which is the website.
I love it. And then July 28th, the free masterclass. This is going to come out this Sunday or Monday, depending on my mood. But I will be there too. So July 28th, I'll see whoever's going to be at the masterclass. I cannot wait. I'm going to come with a lot of questions and I'm going to be very nosy. And it's going to be so fun. And we'll see you online, Kameron. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I love you. Thank you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed on this podcast are not legal advice that can be relied on. They are based solely on the limited information provided. These opinions do not create any attorney-client relationship. Those seeking legal advice should contact an attorney in the appropriate jurisdiction and practice area.